What's up, college football fans? Welcome to another QB Spotlight video. Today, we're going to talk about Arkansas quarterback KJ Jefferson and what his expectations should be in 2023. And I want to hear from you, Arkansas fans, college football fans. What are your expectations for KJ Jefferson? Let us know in the comments below as we get into it. As always, QB Spotlight, this is a quarterback hub. We talk all things quarterbacks, and we're going to start doing more of these expectation videos for some of these quarterbacks that we tend to cover. So with that said, we're going to dive into KJ Jefferson, right? What do you expect from him? What's going to happen? What are your predictions that happen in 2023? I got a few things I want to touch on because I think it's interesting that you have, the new OC Dan Enos coming in. And from talking to several Arkansas fans, they seem to be really excited about the potential for KJ to develop, but they're also maybe not super excited for the offense as a whole, if that makes sense, right? This gets a little bit different than Kendall Browse's offense, the RPO approach, a lot of, not a lot of time wasted, a lot of plays getting done. So it's kind of an interesting dilemma, if you will, or interesting dynamic approach. That could be a whole different conversation for a whole different time. But with KJ Jefferson, there's a few things I do expect. I expect, one, for Arkansas to maximize their win total, KJ Jefferson's going to have to maximize his playing potential on the field. He's going to have to continue to take that next step. He's going to have to be probably the best quarterback in the SEC if Arkansas wants to maximize their win total. And that's kind of an obvious statement. But with that said, I don't think it's all on him, which I think makes it interesting, right? I think they need his playing, potential to be at the very top, but at the same time, they have a good running back stable that I think they can rely on, right? From Sanders to AJ Green, Dominic Johnson, like some of these guys that maybe haven't played as much as Sanders last year, but some talented guys who I think they can help build that offense around, right? If you can get that running game going in the passing game, that Enos is bringing is a different approach, but that passing game can really take off. So that's the first thing, and that's probably the most obvious statement. KJ is going to have to, maximize his potential for Arkansas to maximize their wins this year, right? That's obvious, whatever, no big deal. Number two, I think is continue to take care of the football. And I expect him to take care of the football despite the fact he's probably going to be throwing it a lot more, despite the fact that attempts are probably going to be up in this offense compared to Browser's offense, right? The past few years, I think KJ was about 300-ish attempts or so in 2021, 2022. For example, Tua's brother, who I still can't say his names, but where Dan Enos came from in Maryland, he was at like 391 attempts last year, and I think he missed some time. Don't quote me, but I think he missed some time. The year before that, he was over 400 attempts. So, 100-plus attempts more, give or take, in Maryland's offense compared to what KJ did last year. So while I expect him to throw the ball more, and I expect that TD to interception ratio to be somewhat similar because KJ does a good job of taking care of the ball. It wouldn't surprise me if there's another interception or two, right? Doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just wouldn't surprise me because attempts are so much higher. KJ's TD to interception ratio, he had 45 TDs passing the ball in the 2 years starting to only 9 interceptions. That's like a 5-to-1 ratio, which is outstanding. I bet in that time starting, if you compare to other starting quarterbacks, that's probably the best in college football, right? Would be my guess. If it's not the best, it's definitely up there. So while I expect maybe to be another pick or so, I would expect the TD to interception ratio to be somewhat similar. 4-to-1, 3.5-to-1, maybe even 5-to-1 again. I don't know. So even if the interceptions go up, the fact that there's more attempts happening, I would still expect KJ to take care of the ball because he's that type of player, right? So different offense, more attempts, but I do expect the interception, the TD ratio to be taken care of or to be in that same ballpark range, right? Number three, I don't expect as much rushing attempts or rushing yards from KJ. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but I would expect a lower amount of rushing yards, right? Both seasons starting, he had over 600 yards rushing. I think he had over 1,300 yards both seasons as a starting quarterback, and that put him at like 1,300 yards plus rushing, 15 rushing touchdowns, and he took a lot of hits. He delivered a lot of hits too, but he was banged up a little bit last year, right? What game did he miss? The LSU game, did he in the Texas A&M game, right? With Hornsby play. Maybe that was last year, but regardless, he was banged up the past few seasons in certain big games, right? So I think the fact that maybe, with Enos' approach, it's not going to be as much quarterback run, then maybe KJ is going to be a bit healthier, can sustain the full season, not take as many hits. With that said, I still expect KJ to run some. So I still expect him to use his legs. Why wouldn't you, right? He's super talented runner, and I think that can open up the game, right? So with that said, as I know, these expectations, right? The interceptions may be going up, the attempts going up, but the TD to interception ratio is staying the same. The rushing attempts going down. With that said, the only reason that I expect that is because the offense is different. On the flip side, I don't think you're going to see the exact offense you saw at Maryland at Arkansas, for the simple fact KJ is a different quarterback than they had at Maryland. I think you might see maybe some more creative plays, creative schemes that KJ can run really well. So I think they're going to combine Enos's approach with what KJ does well, and that's kind of what I expect for 2023. So while I do expect this different offense to come in, and hey, maybe I'm wrong, but I do expect this different offense to come in. I also expect to see some similarities, right? I also expect to see them utilize KJ's strengths to evolve the offense a little bit. So those are kind of my expectations, right? KJ needs to have, for Arkansas to maximize their wins, KJ needs to maximize his playing potential. I also expect, more attempts, which will probably lead to more picks, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But with that said, I still expect the TD to interception ratio to be similar, right? That 4-to-1 range is outstanding. And then I expect the rushing attempts to go down, while at the same time, I still expect Enos to have some type of game plan or some type of scheme that's going to utilize all of KJ's talents, right? So again, just a quick video talking about the expectations of KJ Jefferson in 2023. I also expect him to be a top 3 quarterback in the SEC. Excuse me. Right, just like he was these past few years, in my opinion, top 3 quarterback in the SEC. I think going into 2023, he's the number 1 quarterback, number 1 returning quarterback in the SEC. How does he finish? I don't know, but I still expect him to finish at the very top of the SEC and be one of the best quarterbacks in college football, right? So, again, these are the expectations I have for KJ Jefferson. It's like a blended approach, but I want to hear from you. What are your expectations? What would you consider a successful year for KJ Jefferson and this new offense? Arkansas fans, college football fans, let us know in the comments below. And again, if you like this quarterback type of content, we put this out on a daily basis. We have a podcast that we put out with quarterback coaches, current college quarterbacks come on. We've got some really cool stuff coming up, but we're going to start covering more of the teams as the season enters up. So if you like this stuff, like the video, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. It helps us out, and we'll see you next time.